Welcome to another edition of Mass Mats and Ma'am. I'm your host, the Outlaw Ellie Red. You can find me on Twitter at JustinHarvey75. You can find the entire show on the Twitter machine at MMMshow75. And we are joined today by a very special guest, one that some of you may know, that some of you may not know, but I'm sure if you are fans of this show and Lucha Underground fans, you will know very, very soon in a big way. We would like to welcome to the show Sonny Kiss. What's going on?
Hello.
Like
such a subtle, like hello.
We also have Byron and Meatloaf here, of course, at Meatloaf and at Byron Fever, right?
At Byron Fever. What's your Twitter handle?
Oh, mine. At Sonny XO. He's like, yeah, of course you.
Thanks for coming on. We've been really looking forward to talking to you, but there was a period of time, I think, where we weren't allowed.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
or
we weren't allowed really, but now that the trailer has dropped for Lucha Underground Season 4, you definitely have a few moments in there. We get that awesome picture of you along with the other cast members standing at the end, which is great. But there's another little sneak peek of Sonny at Lucha Underground in there that was kind of the talk of the internet for a minute there.
Was it the talk of the internet? I wouldn't go that far, but
I mean, look, we're all fans of some of the fun stuff that the writers and Skip do and those guys, and it's obviously an homage to Flashdance, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and I know a lot of people at first, because they didn't know you were going to be in the show, people didn't know who exactly was in that picture. And then I think we talked about it because it was kind of obvious to us who it was and a few other people, even though we played coy about it a little bit. But I think it's well established and out there now that it is, in fact, Sonny Kiss that is doing the Flashdance pose. Was that something that you guys shot for Lucha Underground this year? Is that one of the things that we have to look forward to seeing more of?
Yeah, you might have to look forward to the. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Yeah, no. So, I'm not quite sure what episode that will be on. I just know that it's something that we shot for the season. It was just basically like they know I have a dance background, and I remember backstage and they threw out the outfits, and I was like looking at them, and they were like, "This is what you're gonna wear. So choose what you're gonna wear. Like put your own outfit together." And I was like, "Oh my god, this is a leotard and some tights." Like I felt like back at home, quote unquote. So it was really really cool. Like and then you saw the clip, and I can't wait till you guys see the rest.
This was like, it's kind of scared me though, because I thought about it for a minute. I was like, what is it like just having just a bucket of water dumped on you? Do they at least warm it up?
Oh my god! So the water was warm, like lukewarm, but it was like we had to do the take like 3 or 4 times. So I'm drowning. Like the water's in my face, the water's on my chest, and it's like they're gonna get mixed up, and they throw the water too fast, or throw the water too slow. And then one of the times it was directly on my face. So imagine like a heavy like bucket of water just going on your face, and I was like almost drowning. Like it was just crazy. But it was a cool experience. I was freezing too because I was actually surprised at how chilly it was in LA because I'm a Jersey boy. So I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna get out to LA. It's gonna be so warm, and like I was freezing. But the take came out amazing, and I just can't wait for everyone to see it.
It seems like fun, but it does almost seem like you're almost kind of like waterboarding yourself if you have to do multiple takes of just dumping water, like especially.
Well,
like that.
You will see like me using like the bottle and stuff like that. Like the actual scene. Like if you watch the movie scene, like some of it is very, very like it's taken from there, like the whole thing. Like most of the scenes, I would say. Like we actually did revamp the scene basically.
Which is pretty awesome. So that being said, I mean, it does make sense because, and you can let some of these guys know, like you came from a dance background before wrestling?
I did. So I trained in dance since I was very young, since like probably like middle school. And then I went to a performing arts high school in my town in Jersey City. And then from there, I wasn't really sure where I was going to go. So I ended up taking a route to yoga. So look at that, I'm intertwining all these different things at once. I ended up going to school for yoga, and I got a yoga certificate, and then now I'm freaking back in college. It's about time, though. After like a 5-year hiatus. So yeah, but I had a dance background, yeah. And then I moved on to 2014. I auditioned for the Jets cheerleading squad, you know, hence the gesture. I'm not really a Jets fan, so you can calm down. Yeah, I cheerlead for the Jets. I started to audition for the Jets, and then I was unsuccessful, and then I did the Ravens prep classes, and that was pretty cool. I never really went anywhere with that either. I just felt like, obviously, you know, being a male of color, and I felt like that just wasn't what they were looking for. And I was trying to, like, obviously, you know, break that barrier, because that's the type of person I am. I do it in wrestling. I do it, you know, whatever is I put my mind to, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to try to, you know, revolutionize and break barriers in it. So I tried that with football cheerleading, but it was a no-go. But still, like, I had a really cool career as a dancer. So I'm happy about it.
But cheerleading does seem like a good fit, especially for your attitude. I mean, you've always been babyface as far as I've known you, right? I mean, you like to have that upbeat attitude and to come with a lot of enthusiasm to all your wrestling events. So I could see why cheerleading would be a good fit for you in general.
Absolutely. And I played up that more than my dance background in wrestling, because I felt like it just was more fitting, just because of stereotypes and how people look at cheerleaders. But yeah, I've always been babyface. I love being babyface. I love smiling and being bubbly and fun, because it's more authentic, and that's what I wanted to portray in wrestling, is to be authentic. And I felt like me as an openly gay wrestler, that's important, because authenticity wasn't a thing for gay wrestlers back in the 80s and stuff like that. You know, because you had those guys, but they weren't really gay. They were kind of just costumes and just flamboyant, and like, with me, it's everything that you see here is authentic. Like, it's real. Like, it's not, you know, a facade. Like, it's totally real. So yeah.
But so that being the case, because I do agree with you, especially about 80s wrestling, is that, you know, things were portrayed more as a gimmick than having any basis in reality.
I'd say even in the 90s too, when it comes to wrestlers, like there was the reality era and attitude era and stuff like that, but gay wrestlers you weren't real. Like Kanyon, I think, was one of the first openly gay wrestlers, but that wasn't who he was in the ring. But then you have like Building and Chuck, they do something, or you have I think Lenny Lane in WCW, I think.
Yeah,
and they're just putting on the show.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't really authentic at all. So not that it's a bad thing, because I don't mind it. I don't mind, you know, playing off a character. Like, hello, this is wrestling.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there wasn't really a representation for a flamboyant, you know, feminine, just wrestler who's just himself. You know, because then you had people who are just doing the drag gimmicks, and then you know, stuff like that. You never really had like someone who just identified as a male, even though like people sometimes ask our pronoun, they're like, "Are you a female or are you a male?" Like, it's hilarious, but I don't mind if you call me either or. But I identify as a male, so there wasn't that representation of just a gay male wrestler. There was just, you know, costumes and drag and stuff like that. So,
well, so that being the case, I mean, you obviously still decided to take this route as something to include in your own life. So that, which surprises me at times, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like there's some sections of wrestling fans that would not subscribe to that, and then others that would be totally down with it. Like, you mostly wrestle on the East Coast, where I feel like, you know, who you are is probably very well accepted. Were you worried when you were getting into wrestling that you wouldn't be accepted for yourself, or that you'd have to put on a different type of gimmick or play it a certain way just to get into wrestling?
I was very like nervous and skeptical about how, you know, I would be perceived, but at the same time, I knew that when I got into this, that if I was going to do it, it was going to be authentic, it was going to be real, and I wasn't going to portray anyone I wasn't. Quite frankly, I really can't. It's pretty obvious. So, like, I was like, okay, when I get in wrestling, I'm just going to be me. I mean, it took me 2 times because I started in 2011 as a manager, and then I stopped, and then I came back in 2013, and I was like, I'm gonna do this for real now. Like, I'm really, really gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna be me, and I'm not gonna look back. And you know, if I fail, at least I can say I tried. And 2013, I was just progressing in the ring. I started training with a bunch of different trainers, and I was honing my craft as an athlete. And I was, you know, still tumbling. I was still, you know, being athletic and stretching every day. And yeah, lo and behold, like 5 years later, here I am, Lucha Underground.
So what made you want to do it at all?
I'm sorry.
So what made you want to get into wrestling? I mean, where was the start of switching over from cheerleading and dance and looking up and saying, yeah, I'd like to go in there and get my ass kicked?
Well, it started really early. Like, everyone tells these stories in podcasts, and they go all the way back to the, you know, their like adolescent years or even younger, obviously. But with me, it was like, yeah, like I don't know, I was really young. I always loved wrestling though. Like, I think I played the video games first. I played Revenge. I don't know if you guys remember that game.
Yes.
Of course, yeah. I played Revenge before I even watched wrestling on TV, so that was pretty crazy. I played WCW and WO Revenge. I played wrestling in 2000, and then I started watching it around that time. And I started to see people on TV that I looked up to. I really, really loved women's wrestling for some reason, but RVD and Jeff Hardy and, you know, the Hardy Boys and, you know, people like that, I was like strongly inspired by. And yeah, then I was still dancing, obviously, most of my life. And then when I got to, who was this? All right, so one day I was like tumbling in a park, and then like a friend of mine's like was like, yo, you're so athletic, you should be a wrestler, you should try it out, whatever. He's like, yo, come train with me. And I was like, all right, cool. So then I went to the ring, and I with him training, and I started to like take a bumps around. And then as soon as I got in the ring, I knew it. I was like, I want to do this for real. Like, this is what I want to do with my life. And even though it was like tough in the beginning, no, was it tough? I don't know. The bumps were like a little like frustrating to like actually get, but after a while, it was cool. Like I was okay. Like I was like, okay, I got this. I can do it. And then like character development started to happen, and yeah, the rest is history. Like, because once I was able to, like, it took a little while. I'm gonna say, like after like maybe 1 or 2. Yeah, after like 1 or 2 matches, it started to be like, okay, like discouragement obviously comes back to you, and then like, you know, you continue on, you know, with more trainers and, you know, more ideas, and the confidence just grows and grows and grows. Like, I'm a completely different person than I was in 2012, 2013, 2014. You know, that whole thing.
See,
like
I think that
now it's like no one can touch me, like, as far as confidence.
I think that anybody that goes in there that can't remember if they hated the first day or not probably is meant to be in wrestling, because I went and ran the ropes with some buddies a couple times, and just that feeling under my arm, I was like, no, I'm good on this. This is not my thing.
Honestly, though, you get used to it after a while. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I mean, again, this is why you're cut out for it, and I'm over here with a microphone, and you're out there performing for all these folks, you know?
I mean, yeah, and that's another thing too. Like, there's roles in wrestling. There's so many roles. Like, I feel like if you're not made for one, you can be made for other. Like, for people to say, "Oh, you don't belong in wrestling," is silly. Like, there's so many different roles, and yeah, I think there's something for everybody.
What were you going to ask something, Byron?
Yeah, I was going to ask. You were talking about as far as your presentation, your character, and, you know, your visual presentation. How that was important to you. But I also was wondering with on the wrestling side, like with your move set, there's different types of wrestling like Lucha Libre, or some people call it like the indie spot fest, where you're doing all your moves, or I don't know, like strong style. Did you put any consideration into how you would be represented as a fighter, how you would fight? Like, what kind of a fighter would you say you are?
So like I said, I was very inspired by women's wrestling. And if you notice, most of my moves pay homage to like every female wrestler that's ever wrestled before. So, yeah, no. With my wrestling, I get compared to Naomi a lot, to Jacqueline, who's one of my biggest inspirations. Yeah, I just love like a mixture of the high flying and, my boyfriend, who's also a wrestler, he teaches me the technical stuff. And but yeah, no, if you look at my moveset, it pays homage to like every female wrestler. I don't really have a name for it. I just knew I wanted to be strong and athletic, and I wanted to use my flexibility, and yeah, just kind of like use all these different like components to like make cool.
Well, I noticed like you do like you throw a Yakuza kick, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but you throw a kick, but you put your own spin on it, and you seem to do a lot of split-legged type moves.
Well, see, that's not my move. It actually pays homage to Melina.
There you go.
Yeah, see, a lot of people don't know that, and like they'll call me like this crazy innovator. And I think it's sweet because that's the whole thing too. There's not men out there doing stuff like that, so I figured that those moves would set me apart from everybody else by default because there's not men out there doing that stuff. So that's why I guess how people think it's innovative, which I mean I guess it is because it's innovative for a guy to do it. But the actual move itself, no. A lot of my moves are they pay homage to like women's wrestling from past and present. So, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Like I love it. Obviously, it got me to Lucha Underground, so they love it, and yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily even thought innovative. The first time we saw you, like I saw you do a move probably off the second rope where you landed in a split, and I was just like, oh shit, I could never even think about doing something like that. You know, I mean, the level of flexibility that you have and being able to land in a split, that's the part that trips me out because I've done splits way back in the day. When I was actually doing martial arts and stuff, I could do some splits, and I've seen guys who can do splits and the Van Damme kind of stuff. But bouncing and like landing on the ring and doing some of the stuff off the ropes in a split, that is the stuff where everyone I think is just like, oh my god, this guy's on a different level.
Yeah, I do like try to put my own twist in some areas. So yeah, like I just want people to be like, holy, like for my stuff. That they would for like, you know, those crazy pile drivers or whatever else, you know, people do in like strong style and death matches and stuff like that. Yeah, no, but that's kind of my own version of like, holy, you know.
I love it. Well, and it works too, because that's absolutely exactly what I said. I mean, I think everybody around me said that. God, what was the match I watched earlier this week? I think it was you and Stan Styles, who is hilarious to me. He's been out here at Maverick Pro recently quite a bit, and I love him as a performer, and he always gets the crowd hot.
That's my first gig of wrestling. My first gig was managing him, so yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, see, you learned something.
I was 17 years old, and that was my first gig.
Well, you have to get Stan to bring you out here to Maverick Pro or one of these Southern Cali indies. Like, how much have you worked outside of the East Coast area? I know you've kind of made that circuit.
To be honest, not much. I mean, there's some things in Texas that's in the works. What else? Yeah.
So you mainly work in the tri-state area, right?
Like I work, like up and down East Coast, basically. Yeah.
What are the promotions that you're normally in that people can check you out in?
Warriors Wrestling, East Coast Pro Wrestling. It was like my like home areas. That's in New Jersey and Staten Island, and where else I wrestle? I wrestle somewhere.
You're a Tier 1 champ, right?
Yeah, I was Tier 1 champ. Tier 1 is now defunct, unfortunately.
Oh, I saw you there last April, not the one that just happened, the one 2017. You wrestled
Evolve. Was that Evolve?
No, it was a big weekend for wrestling. So there were a ton of shows. People were doing like 3 or 4 spots that weekend. It was it was the early show, I think. It was no, I'm gonna forget his name.
Your memory's horrible.
It was that one guy and the other guy. I don't know if Darius was in it, but Keith Lee was in it.
That guy. So that was the same night as Evolve.
Yeah.
So that was myself, Keith Lee, Darius Carter, and Bobby Fish.
And Bobby Fish.
Yes.
That was rad.
So much fun. I got eliminated first, but I still had honestly, it's one of my favorite matches ever. Just
yeah, you got your shit in still.
Yeah, the dynamic was cool, and Darius Carter and I were involved in like this blood boil feud. Like it was crazy. Yeah.
Let's all see, and I think that we'll probably get a chance to see you a lot more after your Lucha Underground stuff starts airing. I have a feeling your bookings are going to go way up. I hope you don't have too much to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think after that, people will definitely start to see me as a serious competitor, and that's kind of what I've always wanted. But yeah, I definitely want to maintain, the same bubbly, fun personality, but people still see me as a great, tough wrestler. So yeah, hopefully that's how they see me as. Because I can't reveal what happened, but I definitely can say people get to see me at my most vulnerable, most athletic I've been, most serious I've ever been. I even swore a few times, and I don't really swear. So you're gonna definitely see.
Well, Lucha Underground tends to do that. They tend to bring out things in people. Just in general, how much fun has it been working in the locker room? I know we can't talk about a lot of the specifics, but every time we get somebody who's new to Lucha Underground on the show, it seems like being a part of that family is a big deal to them. So how was the experience for you on that level?
Everyone is absolutely amazing. It's literally the best locker room ever. Like everyone's super, super cool. I can't say exactly who, obviously, but I have my Lucha bestie. Who everyone's gonna freaking go crazy when they see him do all those crazy flips because he's just amazing. Then there's everyone else there. Yeah.
Can I ask?
I want to say so much, but honestly, I just can't.
Yeah.
There's gonna be.
Well, the good news is you can always come back after some episodes air, and then we can actually talk about some of that stuff too. But we did want people to get a chance to get to know you before because, I don't think this is giving anything away. I was there at every taping this season, and I can say that I certainly think that you are something special that people are really going to get into this season on Lucha Underground. And every season it's like, the first taping, I'll run up and I'll talk to Evie Dub and I'll be like, oh dude, so what's going on? What's the new hotness and whatever. So, a couple years ago it was Dante Fox. And then this year I can honestly say that the person that Evie Dub came up to me and started talking about was Sonny. And I was just like, he was like, you got to see some of this stuff. I hope we get this going the way we want to. And, you got something to look forward to in this performer. And I can't say any more than that, but I will say that the one spoiler I will give is that you guys will be entertained by Sonny on Lucha Underground this season. It is going to be exciting, good, fun stuff. You were going to ask a question, Byron?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, since we couldn't go into too many details about your best friends in the locker room yet, I wanted to ask how you felt about the environment. Lucha Underground is kind of known for its bloodthirsty, rabid fans who go crazy. And I was wondering if any of that stood out to you, or if basically when a lawyer comes out and does the disclaimer and then there's a bodily fluid chant, that kind of, were you warned before that happened?
I was aware because I obviously watched the show before. I wasn't really nervous or anything like that. It didn't startle me or anything like that because I knew I was gonna bring a different element to the show, and I wasn't worried about what other people were doing. I wasn't worried about what the kind of matches that other people on the roster were having. I knew that the Lucha Underground would utilize me in the best way possible, so I wasn't too worried about all that stuff. I just knew that I was gonna go in and kill it and be myself, and they would see me be myself, and I wouldn't have to do all that stuff to, get over. They would find another niche that they would like. The fans would see me as who I was, and find something else that they would think it's cool. So, yeah.
I mean, you still have to put in a little bit of the work yourself, though. Were you worried about getting over on the West Coast, considering that you had mostly worked in tri-state area? I mean, I think Byron was probably one of the few people there that actually had seen you perform on the East Coast. I don't know that any of the rest of us had.
Yeah, I was definitely nervous to like, obviously, like, you know, if people would like me or not, because everyone thinks about that, obviously, especially when you like go to a place that's new, regardless of like where it is. It's just, if it's a new place, you're kind of like, I hope they like me. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I was humble enough to obviously think that, but I was also confident enough to know the ability that I had, that it was gonna wow them. So it was kind of like a combination of both. But I was definitely more worried. But at the same time, I still had that confidence in there that knew that once I like started to do all that stuff, because that's what usually happens when I go to new places in any area. It's always like my entrance is always like, the hell is that? Like, no, seriously, it happens like that. And they're always like, what the hell has just walked out here? Like, who the hell is that? Ew. Then as soon as I start wrestling, it's like, oh, holy crap, oh. So it's always really funny, like, to see their reaction after the matches. And I think, what was it? Promotion C4, that's in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And they were kind of like, when I first walked out, they were kind of like, too. But as soon as I like had this match with Speedball Mike Bailey, they were like, holy. Yes. And they like literally like they gave me like a freaking standing ovation, and they all started like banging on the mat, like, please come back. And I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. But yeah, I love when that happens. I don't mind it at all, and I get it. Like, that's the thing. I get if people look at me and they're like, what the heck? Like, I'm very avant-garde. I'm very unique and just different. And people call me like wrestling's anomaly. I don't know. I guess that's a compliment, yeah. Because I am pretty different, but.
Well, I think in Lucha Libre wrestling, which Lucha Underground is kind of connected to at this point, you've always had the Exotico tradition, so I think there's a certain level of acceptance. But at the same time, you're not playing an Exotico character.
Not at all. And I appreciate you like obviously noticing that. A lot of people always swear just because I'm feminine that I'm an Exotico. I'm like, no, like I'm just a wrestler like everybody else, just a regular male wrestler.
Now the chat room is, however, asking what would happen if you and Pimpinella Escalada had to throw down.
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love that.
I think Sonny would win.
Pimpy has some tricks up the sleeve, though.
That is true.
That'd be a pretty crazy battle. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting, and I know a lot of people are
no, I'm just kidding.
wondering if that's going to happen. You guys are going to have to watch Lucha Underground this season to see who they square Sonny up with. Which in Lucha Underground, we discovered that you're going by the name XOLishus. They released the list of names that were trademarked for this season. So is that name something that you came up with, or did DJ and those guys come up with it? Because I know you have like a SonnyLishus t-shirt, and you always, you use Sonny Kiss XO, so it makes sense. But was that something that you came up with, or did they come up with that for you?
It was. It was something that I came up with, because they were like, how do you want your name to be? And for me, it was like, I wanted to be Sonny, obviously, but they were like, no, we don't want to trademark your name. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I just thought of it, and I was just like, what about XO? Like, I kind of was like playing off ways to spell it, like EXO, and then X regular, just XO, and I guess they just went with XO and then Lishus. I'm not even sure how are they actually spelling it? Is it with the LIS?
The one that got registered, the way I saw it, was the letters XO and then LISHUS.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, and I think I had spelled it before that, like delicious, like LICIOUS or something, like XOLishus, like that. But that's the way I saw it registered. So I'm gonna assume that that's how they're gonna go with it. Yeah. We'll know if all of a sudden there's t-shirts.
There should be t-shirts.
I hope so.
Well, Sonny's got t-shirts already on Pro Wrestling Tees, right?
I do.
Everybody go get that SonnyLishus t-shirt right now.
What's the link real quick?
You had the link last time.
Tees.com/SonnyKiss.
There you go.
There you go. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
You guys got to get that merch. So how did this Lucha Underground thing come to be? How did this, and this is a story I actually don't know. Who contacted you? Who got you involved? Stryker put you up to this?
How did you know that?
I don't. That was honestly a guess, just because of the East Coast thing.
I'm not sure if you guys saw the tweet, but Stryker tweeted like a couple of months ago about his infatuation with me and like how like I told him I had a boyfriend. Yeah, he tweeted I professed my love to Sonny Kiss, but he proceeded to tell me that he had a boyfriend, which is hilarious. I don't know if he was kidding or not, because you can't really tell with Matt. Matt is like a total jokester.
You have no idea with Matt at all.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that he was putting the bug in the ear. But he didn't really do anything like hands on. It was just more of just, hey man, I know this guy and he's great, and that's literally what it was. And I think that they watched me, and then they contacted me on my birthday. And well, I think they watched me. Obviously, they had to if they contacted me. But they contacted me on my birthday, and that was literally my birthday present from them. Like they were like, yeah, we want you to be on the new season of Lucha Underground. And I was like, oh my god, no way! Like, is this real? DJ messaged me, and then he had to email me because I'm terrible with checking my messages. Obviously, you guys saw that.
Not too bad. We got you here, though. We got you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like falling asleep and waking up and like, oh my god, what time is it? But yeah, DJ messaged me, and the rest is history. I signed that contract, so.
Which is super duper awesome. We are actually ecstatic to have you. How long do they have you for?
I can't tell.
Well, I hope it's a long time. I hope they don't kill you off. I know how DJ is. He likes to kill people off every now and then.
You will see me around for a little while.
Man, me and DJ.
I can tell you.
If DJ, I'm letting everybody know right now.
Yeah.
DJ kills Sonny off, especially in this season. I'm gonna be heated. Me and DJ are gonna have words. He cannot kill you off because we know how he is.
They gotta do a movie if they want to kill me off.
DJ loves to play with people's emotions, though. He'll get everybody loving a character and then just be like, yeah, let's just kill him. Son of a bitch. So what other aspirations do you have? I mean, do you see yourself maybe trying to go to WWE down the line or other places? And, are you trying to, after this Lucha Underground thing blows up, I know that they're a little more loose with people going to other places now. Like, what other stuff do you want to do besides Lucha?
I definitely want to do everything, all the above. I definitely want to be at the best places. Like, how can I say this without coming off as like weird or like rude or anything? Obviously, I want to be,
Right, we're talking in the future. We're talking down the line. We're not talking tomorrow. I
would want to work for the greatest companies ever, and that's really it. I mean, there's acting that I want to do too as well. I'm working on some music. That's hush hush. So yeah, can't really like talk.
We won't say anything.
Yeah, I'm working on some music, and there's a lot of things that on the horizons that I want to dip and dab in. So yeah.
Well, it seems like sky's the limit. I mean, you've only been doing this 5 years now?
5 years.
That's a long time in wrestling, but it's also not a long time. I mean, it's like it's just long enough to get yourself in trouble.
I've learned to manage things a lot better. Like I've learned to, I've always been doing it, but excuse me. Nowadays, I just kind of just stick to myself and my friends, my crew. Yeah. When you learn how to mind your business and kind of not always have an opinion about something on the internet, or just trying to post things to stir up, I feel like you can do no wrong if you do that. If you just stay in your lane and worry about yourself and worry about your people, you'll do just fine. Like now, my boyfriend and I, it's literally us against the world. We just travel together and we just do our thing with wrestling
And now he's a wrestler too. So is it strange dating another performer, or does that make it better that you guys are in the same world? Because I've heard both stories.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really I would say it's up to you two. In the relationship, I feel like people make it harder than what it is. It's not that complicated. What's so hard about, like, you know, keeping your, okay, here's the thing. It's supposed to be secrecy, not privacy, but secrecy. There's a difference. I think people, well, okay, privacy, not secrecy. Yeah. People should be more private in relationships, but not a secret. And I feel like you don't have to tell all of your business and tell all that you're doing. They can just see the product you guys are, and that's that. But we're really, really good. We really don't have any fights or arguments. We're just in love, and we love wrestling, and yeah, that's really it.
Meatflow, if you've been quiet over there, you got any questions for Sonny?
Oh no, I started watching some videos earlier on.
Oh.
And I enjoyed Bree. And then there was I really love the spot with, is it a splits with a arm drag?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And on the talk of the Exotico thing was I think, is it Cassandro was like one of the first like real openly gay wrestlers, and he wrestles as Exotico, but like TNA signed wrestler. But in terms of questions, we're gonna have to get you to the UK.
Wait, what's that? I couldn't hear that. I'm sorry.
We're gonna have to get you to the UK.
What's it gonna get to the UK?
He wants you to come to England.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know. I guess y'all have to talk to some people for me. Yeah, I would love to wrestle in the UK. I love the UK garage scene. I think UK garage music is like, it's so underrated, especially in America. Like, I would love to like go to like the UK the clubs and, you know, hear all the UK garage going on. So yeah.
See, now you have a tour guide. Meef will take you to some spots. Look up, find some places.
Show me
around. Yeah, Meatloaf you've met up with a few of your favorite wrestlers that have gone over there, haven't you?
Yeah, Penta and Phoenix.
Yeah,
quite a lot. So
how about Cuerno or Phantasma? Have you gotten him over there?
No. No one wants to pay his fee.
Oh.
Well then.
Yeah, I don't know if we should be talking his business, Meatloaf, like that.
No, I think it's good. They need to pay. They need to get Hio Phantasma over there and pay that money because he's good.
Yeah.
He's a star in 3 promotions.
I've offered to pay parts of it. But it's difficult because obviously flying here you have like £1,000 worth of flight, and then you've got to try and get someone else to all shows running in one area, and like kind of making it worthwhile for the travel and also the expense.
Sonny, do you have a passport?
Of course. Yeah.
Awesome. Global entry or pre-check?
What's that?
Global entry or pre-check?
It's
if you pre-check. Nice.
Yeah, nobody spends the money for the global entry except you, Byron.
I did. It's not that much. I forgot how much it costs.
For a long time to get it.
What?
So, Sonny, who are your favorite wrestlers? Like the wrestlers that you look up to? I know you said you emulated a lot of the other female performers, but who are the wrestlers that really did it for you that are like, okay, if I'm going to watch 3 different people's matches, it would be these people?
You mean like indie, or like obviously like
it could be indie, WWE, anybody, old, new, current.
I'm a huge Van Damme fan. I love Rob Van Dam. I think
you do the split-legged moonsault.
He is an innovator. Period. Like, he is just absolutely amazing. Then there's Rey Mysterio, who's another innovator. Like, he's just so amazing. There's the Hardy Boys. There's like the whole like. I just love everybody. I'm one of those people who like watches wrestling. I love everybody. So, but I was also a big fan of Trish and Lita, the rivalry like that they had. I love Jericho. I love Kurt Angle. I love so many people. Like I love everybody. So,
what do you think of Jericho? Just a side note, hit the stuff he's doing in Japan.
I don't know too much about it actually. I wasn't really paying attention.
Oh.
What exactly is going on?
He had the match at Wrestle Kingdom with Omega.
Yeah.
But he just came back and did one appearance and jumped Naito. He was wearing a Bushi mask in the stands, and he attacked Naito when he walked by, and he took the mask off, and he had Bushi wear his eye and lip makeup, and so he looked way more different than how he looked like the week prior at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Like, he was so much more edgier, and he got Naito to bleed, and it was awesome. He's like I don't know, like R-rated version of Chris Jericho now. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
But yeah, he's gonna wrestle at Dominion if you're into New Japan.
Which clearly Byron is, by the way, as you can tell.
I kind of am. So if you're a Jericho fan, that'll be a fun match.
Good though, but it's like, oh my god, it's so like the matches are so long.
There's a lot of wrestling out there right now. I mean,
it's really good stuff, but like, oh my god, like sometimes it's like.
Well, I've been watching Impact now, and then you got all the WWE that's on, and I've been watching AAA again. Like, I don't get to New Japan much anymore because of all the other stuff I'm watching, and I've been watching a lot of the local indies around here and whatnot, and MLW too. Like, good gracious, I swear, I think last week I must have watched like 16 hours worth of wrestling.
Oh my god,
it's crazy. That's too much. I love wrestling, but that's too much.
There's a lot.
What are you watching? What are you watching? You don't like the long matches?
I do, but like, you know, it's hard to really like sit there and like, I don't know, just be like fully entertained for like hours and hours and hours. You gotta take a break. Like, it's like, I just need a break. Yeah, like, oh my god, this is like way too much. But no, all of it's really, really, really good stuff. Like, I said, like, wasn't Wrestle Kingdom like 11 hours?
Oh my god, I was almost late to work. It started, I think, at 3, and I had to work at 8. And I watched, like, I saw the 3 count, and then I put my clothes on and drove to work. It's a long show.
Well, and over here, if you're watching it live, it's in the middle of the night, kind of like what we're doing.
Pause and watch, you know, some here and then some there.
Yeah. But you got to know the main event. You got to know the main event.
Well, like, I mean, you can watch it at any time. Like, that's why, like, I would just pause it and just, you know, because it's a lot of wrestling, and that's like,
that's the way to do it. If I can't get it on demand on my timeline, I like when Lucha Underground is airing. That's probably the one show that I watch every week live, but it's only an hour. Yeah. Which is great. And that's part of what I think makes the show so good. It's like they have an hour, they're solid stuff, it's well edited, the stories were crafted ahead of time, so they're not like hot-shotting things out of nowhere. I mean, I wish more wrestling shows could do that, and I think that Impact is starting to take advantage of that as well, with a lot of their storytelling and really trying to map things out ahead of time. So, and hopefully they can keep that going now that they seem to have a fairly regular structure in the back now without, you know, some new owner coming in every 2 weeks. You know, maybe they can keep the ball rolling. And I think AAA is starting to do that right now too. I mean, I just watched that AAA event they had because Kevin Cross.
They just put on a good show.
Yeah, they're back. They're back. But I don't know. The whole wrestling world is interesting and exciting, and we get people like Sonny that are, you know, new faces and new names, which is the other thing that surprises me too. We get our favorites and you have them, and then a new person comes along and actually like gets added to your list of like, oh my god, there's still great performers coming up out there.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited that you came on and talked to us now, because I know in the area that you currently work in a lot, like, you're known, and I've talked to Hoke about you. The Twitter gift guy, who's amazing. He's awesome.
Legend.
And I knew when I saw you, when you walked down to the ring the first time at Lucha, like, now that you're going to be on a wrestling show that's it's nationwide, if not global wide, like, that's going to be a big deal. And
if you saw how nervous I was like going to poop myself. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my god. Like this. Whew,
yeah.
Bad.
Well, I'm glad we got you before you became too big of a deal to come onto our show, which I don't know what episode that'll be, but
it's not going to be too far. It's going to be before the end of summer.
Yeah.
You guys are so sweet.
Sonny's going to be mad crazy over. I think you're going to really get over in Germany too. You know, they like Lucha Underground over there, and I think that your character is definitely going to resonate well with the German audience as well.
I will say this with the Lucha tapings, that it was a new crowd. They didn't, a lot of the people didn't know who you were, and also there was like a new crowd on separate days, and you won a new crowd over every single time without a history in Lucha Underground. So we didn't know what stories or anything was going on. You just came out and starting fresh, won over a room full of people every single time. I think any show.
There were a few people that were there every time that started some chants and stuff, Byron.
Okay. So are you trying to get a manager cut?
No, Justin? I'm just saying some of us, recognize talent and try to make sure that everybody is getting as amped up as they should be.
I appreciate that.
It was a little strange this year because there were a lot of new faces from one taping to the next. And in previous years, there's been a lot of regulars, but there was a couple of weekends in there, especially the second weekend was almost an entirely new crowd from the first weekend that I think that you were there. So it was kind of almost a reset and like reteaching the audience of like, hey, this is what's going on. But I didn't see you have too much trouble at all getting over. So
yeah.
It's more so my own, insecurities. Obviously, every performer, every entertainer, every person has insecurities. And I feel like a lot of it is my own insecurity. Like worrying so much. But I guess like once I hit the freaking stairs for there, you usually say curtain, but for there it's stairs. It's like it's time now. You know what I mean? So then I just put my game face on and it's like I'm ready now. Because even though like people see me and super bubbly, super energetic, I'm really, really shy. A lot of people don't know that, but I am incredibly shy. Very much so. Very, very shy. Even like when people meet me and I'm always like, hi. Yeah, thank you. Hi. I'm always like so like shy. Like it's just because I get overwhelmed. Especially when I get like nice remarks. Because it's so like, I don't know. It means a lot to me, I guess.
Well, I think you're going to have to get used to it because I have a feeling you're going to A, get recognized a lot more, and B, a lot of people are going to appreciate when they finally get a chance to see you in that national spotlight. So better get used to it.
I'll try.
You can still be shy, but I think that you're definitely going to get a few more people walking up to you like, hey, aren't you XO from that thing? And you're going to get quite a bit of that.
That happened to me twice, actually, when I was living out in LA, for the tapings. And basically what happened was I was going to Target and like I was going down an escalator and someone startled me because the person like ran up behind me. Like, hey, it's you. You're XO. And it was just like, yeah, really, really like overwhelming. And then it happened like outside of my hotel, which was quite awkward, but I'm trying to like I'm like, yeah, hi, it's so good to meet you. And really like I'm just kinda like, oh my god, you scared the living crap out of me.
Well, especially if they were people that were at tapings and recognized you, I mean, it really is like a big family out here with a lot of the performers and the and the audience. They know like a lot of the performers just know us from being there, and it is kind of a big happy family. So we'll bump into each other at random places, and just like, hey.
So you lived in LA for the tapings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you find any pizza that would compare to New York pizza? I know that's a hotly debated.
I ate pizza and I don't remember where it was from, so that's probably a bad sign.
Well, I know there's like Tony's Pizza sort of near where the old temple used to be.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
but like
that's pretty good.
I ordered from Uber Eats and I don't remember where the pizza was from. I don't know anything about the place. I never even knew it existed.
Yeah.
So that's probably a sign that it's not better than New York pizza. Sorry.
Papa John.
All right.
Hey, Byron, before we let Sonny go, are there any questions from the chat room that we need to get to that I missed? I saw the
chat room. Someone said me should pay the fee.
I'm just looking. Okay, Zeus asked, how long has Sonny been in wrestling and who inspired Sonny to wrestle? Well, we know that you've been in about 5 years, but was there an inspiration for you to get into wrestling?
Like I said, just Van Dam, Mysterio, Trish, Lita, Jacqueline, women's wrestling as a whole. But you know, that's like my core group, the Hardy Boys. Yeah.
Well, Van Dam's a great one. I mean, that
Van Dam is like my number one. Like, I think he is incredible, and I actually got to meet him at the tapings. I don't know if you guys knew he was there, whatever. But he came with Katie one of the nights, and it was really, really cool because Katie was like, "We're gonna come through." I was like, "Oh, she's gonna bring Rob Van Dam, who's like my idol." So it was really cool to like meet him. But yeah, that's like my core group right there. But women's wrestling definitely is a huge inspiration, you know, along with those guys that inspired me. So yeah.
My favorite wrestling feud, I think, of all time is probably Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn.
Oh my God. Yes.
Ooh.
Series of matches.
They could just always have a match.
Yeah.
Sabu too. Like Sabu, I feel like, you know, I just admired the way he put his body on the line all the time. So I loved him. Like, I loved everything about him.
Admire Sabu from afar. Don't ever be Sabu because the human body cannot possibly handle what that man has gone through.
Oh my God. And then you have like, you know, HBK and Triple H and their feud. Like, oh my God. Like stuff like that. Like, I just love really, really good feuds. I'm a sucker for that. So yeah.
Who's this?
Raven
Rebecca wants. What's that, Meef?
Raven Dreamer. I can't believe you no-sold Raven Dreamer.
No, I love Raven and Dreamer, and I like that storyline. But for the actual in-ring work, man, you can't. For me, it's Rob Van Dam and Lynn.
I love Tommy Dreamer too. Tommy Dreamer, honestly, is like he gives me like so much advice every time I see him. It's always like, you know, he always watches my matches and always like, yo, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, and he's just so awesome. Like, I love him.
Rebecca wants to know, who is your football team?
I don't really have one. I don't watch football these days. My family, they're Giants fans. And then one of my other roommates that I live with now is a Packers fan. And I haven't watched football in a very long time, probably since Super Bowl 2012, something like that. I don't remember what that was. Whenever was that? But I don't have a favorite football team. But basketball, I like the Knicks.
Hey,
what's your hockey team?
Oh God, no one has a hockey team.
Sorry, I apologize.
I'm trying to get Byron to understand that you don't ask black folks about hockey. It's never going to go anywhere, Byron.
Oh, you don't have to make it about race, Justin. I heard
that something exciting happened in Vegas.
The most annoying thing to me, second most annoying thing to me about Vegas going to the Cup Finals, first one is the fact that they were handed their team by the league. They're an expansion team, so it's the first year. But the second most annoying thing about it is how happy it makes the Disco Inferno. And
the third most annoying thing about it is you're still talking about hockey.
So the thing about hockey is it's the greatest sport on earth.
Now, this is actually an interesting question. J-Bone would like to know what your thoughts are on intergender wrestling.
Prior to Lucha Underground, I didn't want to do it at all, and I didn't want any parts with it because I felt like promoters wanted me to do it more so for a sexuality reason rather than an empowering reason. They wanted me to do it because they're like, oh, you're feminine, oh, you're like a girl, you can work that girl too. And my whole thing is the women's story is very similar to the gay story. Being an openly gay wrestler and you know, being a female in wrestling is very similar because being an openly gay wrestler, you have to fight for barriers just like them. You're fighting to be looked at as equal, and fighting a woman because other people see that as a way like that you're equal to them in that realm as opposed to, you know, empowerment. I felt like that's the reason why I didn't want to do it. But now I look at it in a different light. Lucha Underground kind of helped me, you know, feel that way. But yeah, no, I love the fact that women are breaking barriers, and so are openly gay wrestlers like myself. So yeah, I think it's great now. I mean, everyone should be able to, like, you know, I think Evilise could kick my butt. You know what I mean? So it's like
she's tough.
That's the cool thing about Lucha Underground too. Is it's like everyone can face off with anyone. It could be Taya and Cage one week, and then it could be Cage and Penta the next week, and then it could be Penta and Pimpy the next week. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
but I wanted to tell a story of I'm tough too. I can, you know, go like any other guy would, regular guy, you know what I mean, or like straight guy. So I had that like mentality of just like, don't let me work women because you want me to work women because you think I am a woman. Let me wrestle against the guys so I can show you I can go with them, that I'm just as tough as any one of them. And that's awesome. That's really what it was.
Which I think is fairly accurate. I like that. See, now that was a good question. Thank you, J-Bone.
Thank you, J-Bone.
J-Bone throwing out the solid questions. Byron, did you have anything else?
I'm
giving you your chance. We have. We're
Yeah.
good. We're kind of good at this, Byron. We've learned how to do this after 94 episodes. We're getting close to episode 100 too, and we got to find a whole lot of exciting guests to put on one episode.
That's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, you better start booking it now.
Sonny, do you want to come back for episode 100?
I'd love to come back anytime. I have so much fun talking to you guys.
Well, it has been awesome having you on the show. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope we weren't too much of a pain in the ass. As everyone can tell you, we are relentless at times when we were trying to get a great new guest. And a lot of this, the new cast of Lucha Underground this season, I'm really excited for everybody out there to see. And Sonny was right at the top of that list. Absolutely. Plus, Evie Dub would have kicked my butt if you weren't at the top of the list, because I know Evie Dub is a huge fan as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, everybody. If you look down in the description, you can find Sonny's Twitter on there. Go to Pro Wrestling Tees. You got any shows coming up that people should know about, that they should go out and get tickets for? Or anything else you want to plug in general?
Well, there's Warriors Wrestling. I'm terrible with these dates. I don't ever really like keep up with my dates. I am awful with that. There's Warriors Wrestling coming up. What else is coming up? There's so much. I'm terrible at this. Forgive me.
Do you have them on your Twitter?
Oh my god.
Let's look this up. Do you have them on your Twitter?
Yeah, I just share the posters, honestly, and then you know, like.
All right, you have.
On this day. I'm wrestling. Was it Delaware? I forgot the date. Was it? Oh my god, this is so bad. Promoters, forgive me for forgetting the dates, but yeah. There's my.
What is your
on Twitter and Instagram and all other stuff. So my Twitter and Instagram have the same handle. So at Sonny Kiss XO and Facebook.com/SonnyKiss1 and obviously ProWrestlingTees.com/SonnyKiss. I have pretty awesome. It's not just Bootylicious, it's SonnyLishus t-shirts on there. And yes, my booty is real.
Oh, you know what? That was the second question, and I skipped right over it. No,
that was in the chat room. Thank you, Paul. Was that question in the chat room? Yeah, Paul Cross was asking it. We completely looked it over.
My booty is absolutely 100% 41 inches of realness.
Now, see, and for those who haven't seen you yet, part of the move set definitely involves a little bit of twerking. There's definitely some booty bumping going on, and
what do you call that one move? Sorry to cut you off. This is really important.
Where she does the head scissors
in the corner, like a head scissors.
Yeah.
I call it. Well, I called it prior to Lucha Underground the Kiss My Sass, but I'm obviously gonna have to change it to make it something cooler. I don't know, for Lucha Underground. So I'll figure it out.
Cool.
I bet Stryker's got it squared away for you. I'm sure he had some name for it on commentary. Who knows?
Probably something super like corny and lame.
or completely inappropriate considering you have a boyfriend. Who knows with Stryker?
True. That's a good point.
Well, and who knows what makes it into the show too, because as we found out from when we had Stryker on the show, him and Vamp get really weird and inappropriate at times, and then just make him do it again or something. I don't know.
You're gonna see some interesting things, and even probably a spot, something involving Matt Stryker and I. So,
hey,
yeah, you're gonna see
like
something funny that we've done on one of the tapings, and yeah.
We've been waiting for Stryker to get interested.
All right, so June. What's that, Byron?
We've been waiting for Stryker to get involved. Vampiro's out there going through, flaming tables and through thumbtacks. Stryker's just
crazy,
hanging out.
Like something small and cute that you're gonna see. That's actually, it's gonna be like quite interesting to see that just at the middle of nowhere. So I can't wait for you guys to like go like, oh snap, like when you guys see it.
I hope it's during the episode where he's wearing our shirt, because he actually wore one of our shirts during an episode this season. So here's hoping we get some cross promotion. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sonny. And June 13th, everybody, is the premiere of season 4 of Lucha Underground. Everybody watch it. Check out what Sonny is bringing to the table. We get to hopefully see that whole flash dance scene now. Get to see a lot more of you in the ring. Go check out some of the clips that you can find on the internet and the interwebs too of Sonny Kiss doing his thing on the.
Honestly, you can obviously it's there for a reason. But if I could just say something, like my work between 2013 to like maybe early 20, like maybe I don't know. My work for the first 4 years. Please erase it. Like,
see, you say that now, but like 10 years from now, you'll be, in the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and you'll be like, oh, don't look at my old Lucha Underground tapes. Everybody thinks that whatever they did 5-6 years ago is terrible.
True. Yeah. But Lucha Underground is my best work yet. I will say that. And people are going to see a different side of Sonny Kiss, or a different side of XOLishus, I should say. Or a new side of me, which is XOLishus. So, all right. Yeah.
We are definitely looking forward to it, Sonny. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. And anytime you want to come back, you got a standing invitation. So if you got something to promote or something to talk about, or you get excited after you see yourself on Lucha Underground and you want to come talk about it, you just hit us up and you are welcome anytime.
Well, if you guys want to have an entertaining chat, you're welcome to just message me too. So.
You got it. Thank you so much. XOXO.
Bye, XO.
Bye.
That was awesome. Thanks to Sonny Kiss for stopping by. Byron, besides hockey, did you watch AAA?
I did. I'm just super stoked that we just talked to Sonny, because aside from already being a fan, once he showed up in Lucha Underground, like, we do a podcast that lets us talk to people on Lucha Underground. And so I've been waiting. It's like, hey, we have an excuse. We can hang out and talk to Sonny now.
Well, I know. And so I know Byron, so everyone knows, like, Byron, first of all, had seen Sonny before Sonny came to Lucha Underground. And also, was the one telling us, like, oh, that's Sonny Kiss, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, oh, cool, great. And then, so I did some research and looked up a bunch of Sonny stuff after that. But before that, I had never seen his stuff, and Byron's the one. And then, of course, after the trailer drops, the first thing out of Byron's mouth is like, oh, does that mean we can talk to Sonny? Can we get Sonny on the show? So I started right then, and I was like, hey, Sonny, you want to try? And then Byron has been, working with Sonny all week to get Sonny on the show. And voila, we have Sonny on the show, and we promised you guys a guest. And we're trying to line up somebody for next week too, right, Byron?
Yeah, I think we're going to have someone pretty cool for next week. I don't want to...
You don't want to tease it too soon? It's hard, guys. We would love to tell you, like, every guest we're going to get 5 weeks in advance, but it's so hard to actually nail stuff down and to make sure it's going to happen and then get the tech stuff worked out. So we don't like to announce it too far in advance.
I will say that
many times.
Yeah, like on the day, there's 1,000 reasons to not do anything, you know? So it's just when it happens, when it comes through, like I'm talking, so Justin's eating, so the gimmick is in full effect.
I don't know if it's really eating though. It's like tofu and quinoa.
It's not
Can that
crunchy.
be considered eating?
I've had more tofu and quinoa in the past year than I've had in all the years prior. I don't mind it, but it's interesting to think of it like that.
Last year.
But I will say this next week.
Here in England,
next
we've had
week,
tofu and quinoa here in California for like 10 years.
Oh, well.
Thank you to everybody in the chat room. It sounds like everybody watching really enjoyed
Mil Muertes. Zeus wants us to get Mil Muertes. That is someone who we are very interested in talking to. I will say,
we were very close to having Mil on the show a few weeks back, and then Mil quit a job and then got more in demand, and now his schedule has been freaking terrible. Like, homeboy didn't have anything on his schedule for 2 weeks and was like all about like, no, get me on your show, get me on the show. And then it was like after that, when it was finally like, yeah, let's get you on the show, I was like, I'm booked like 5 nights a week right now.
Yeah.
I'm in Canada, I'm in Mexico, I'm doing the crash, I'm doing this and this.
Constantly flying.
I will say though,
that man is on a plane right now.
If we do get the guest for next week, next Friday, that I think we'll have, it'll be a very awesome, mind-bending conversation.
All right. Let's get weird. I like
Let's get weird.
Let's get upside down. Let's get weird. Okay, so J-Bone, that is quinoa. It's a superfood. It's like this plant, and then I stir-fried up some tofu and peppers and
kale's a
celery.
Superfood.
When you say it's a superfood, is that actual scientific or is that bullshit? Because
I mean, it means it wears blue tights and a cape. I don't know.
I will. It's just you do want to be careful about how much tofu you eat because the estrogen levels in soy.
Yeah, but that's what I got this stuff for.
Oh, for real?
You eat 3 pieces of tofu and then you eat this. I haven't even opened this box. What do you mean? Are you for real? This is something my mother sent me. I'm not gonna trust anything my mother sends me. Like I don't know what this stuff is, man. It's got its product integrity seal. I take
this stuff when I work out or play hockey.
Yeah, that's a little more. That's a little more my speed. This bottle has been sitting here for ages. I have no idea what this stuff is about. Anybody know anything about this? DM me and tell me if I should ever consider consuming something like this.
Testosterone booster. The words are glowing. Oh, Meef is like, I have something that has milk in it.
It's chocolate biscuits. You should eat these.
Yeah. That's where I get my testosterone from. Chocolate biscuits. Speaking of which,
Where I get my chin from.
Has the property value at the palace dropped considerably since Meghan Markle became royalty? Or is your country not that racist?
Meef, are you more ashamed of how your entire people and country are represented by a family that's inbred or by a family that's built in institutional racism and classism? Also, have you seen the movie King Ralph?
Yes,
Is that based on a true story?
Yeah, I wish it was based on a true story. You have to bring this up. I fucking hate the royal family. Everything about them. I wish they were all dead.
Even Meghan? She's pretty hot.
Yeah, she's royal now.
So someone asked me, or said something about a dress, and I said, "Is it blood splattered?"
Okay, but the dress was horrible.
Hey man, you need to chill out. That's not cool.
The dress was terrible.
No. There's literally thousands of these inbred racist morons, who are 16,000th cousin, who live in some weird fucking manor, and it's like a lovely home, but the person who lives there doesn't work. They've never worked in their entire life, but they literally let it run to shit. Like it's falling down and rotting away. This big piece of history, because they are literally pond scum. They're just some rich snobby twats who aren't rich, so they have no money to keep these things upkeep, and just live in this home, and it just rots away. and they like, you know, the people who are very British nationalist and have voted for Brexit happen to be the kind of people who hit their chests and go on about the Queen and the royal family, and people, oh, if you know this, you hate the Queen, and then they forget the Queen's not actually English, and her husband's not. So,
well, I mean, you gotta love this wedding. Then, I mean, they had like a black preacher there. They had a black choir singing "Stand by Me." They had a black cello player.
Black preacher. What was this about? What was he like?
I'm like surprised they were.
Meef, let him talk. I want to hear the story.
Chicago, but he got fired up. I mean, he's still basically C of E, but he did it like Chicago style C of E.
Did they try and make it like a gospel wedding by any chance?
That particular moment was.
It's not like it was like a Disney film, was it?
It wasn't quite Song of the South.
We're not being racist. Yeah, we're not being racist, but we're being stereotypical. Is that?
It wasn't quite Song of the South, but I mean, they did have some cutaways of Oprah right around then.
Mm.
But I mean, what
are you going to cut away to?
He's from Chicago. She's from Chicago.
Are you going to cut away to a bunch of confused like limeys? Just like they just ate something sour?
No, the cutaway was to George Clooney, who was doing his best to look like Ed Sheeran.
Did they cut away to the Queen?
Did it?
Meghan's.
You know, surprisingly, I was actually surprised they really didn't cut away to the Queen much at all, and I couldn't even tell where she was sitting for a while. And then when she left, she got in this Maybach on these like 22-inch rims that were dope. They were like 22-inch Asantes on her Maybach. I'm not even kidding. She had.
It's actually dead, and they're just dragging up. So.
Oh my God, dope ass rims that the Queen has. Well, we love your people, even if you don't love them, Meef. The royal wedding was amazing. We've had a mulatto president here in the States. Now we've got a mulatto royal. And, I'm hoping for a mulatto pope next.
Well, you know what happened to our country after we had
a mulatto,
a Hawaiian president?
So you're expecting Ivanka Trump to be the next person to marry into the royal family?
I'm just saying, Meef, there seems to be a history, and
good luck with that.
We're going to get Boris Johnson as our next prime
minister. Have fun with Brexit.
Well, no, I was going to ask you about AAA. Where we talking?
Let's talk till Meef sidetracked. AAA was awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was. Why?
I mean, it was the matches got represented. The stuff in between them was quick and to the point, unless they cut to Vampiro, and Vampiro was on the phone with his girlfriend.
Which was amazing. He loves that woman so much, though.
He does. I'm happy for him. But it's funny because he's Vampiro, and you kind of need him to be that loose cannon. So, like, what are you going to do? Tell him to tighten up?
Tighten up, man.
Tighten up, Vep. See how far that gets you. It was awesome. The opening match, it looked like it was a bunch of like, it's going to be a horrible way to say this, but the opening match looked like a bunch of flea market Rey Mysterios running around, but they were like
awesome.
They were 100% legit. You know, it was like it's one of those things where I show up.
It was Aramis and Astrolux. Does anybody remember the other two?
I don't know. I just know they're all really, really awesome.
Toxin and Latigo or Latigo or something. Latigo. I'm sorry, I'm looking it up right now. Latigo, yeah, Toxin, Latigo, Aramis, and Astrolux.
Don't look at the event poster because that's slightly different.
Yeah. Well, those guys, which seems to be the case with AAA all the time, but these are not necessarily bad changes that they made to this card.
No, it was a lot better.
But once again, this is 2 shows in a row where the opener has just torn the house down with unknown new guys that everyone should be watching.
And that's what the opener should be doing on a Lucha show.
Yeah, but it's almost like, fuck, why keep these guys down the card? Like,
well, you think that, but then you see Drago and Aerostar, and then you see, I mean,
Vikingo was on fire too. I mean,
Vikingo, oh my god, Lucha Blog was
Vikingo with Parca Negra, and who's the other one in that one? I don't remember who the fourth guy is.
Helican 78 Jr.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. But I mean, another match where you're just like, fuck, like these guys are just throwing themselves around, and it's perfect lucha libre. It's really fun. It's innovative, and it for the most part looks safer than Cuerno's dive at Impact, where he hit nothing except his face.
Oh god,
I felt so bad for your boy. I don't know if that was a bad base move or what. I mean, not to.
As he went through, he moved his feet to miss the middle rope, and he caught his heel on the top rope.
It just went straight down to the face, huh?
Yeah.
He did all right in his dive this time.
Little chocolate face splat there. But anyway, yeah. So the first two matches, if you haven't watched this AAA, guys, go on to Twitch, and that's in the video section. They're a little hard to find sometimes because it archives everything that they run. So when they're just running live old vintage stuff, so it's like 5 or 6 things back now, but it's just fucking amazing that it's just a really entertaining, good, fun show. What was it? The fucking Fabi Apache match wasn't horrible. I'm not going to say it was great, but it wasn't horrible.
I didn't know what was going on, but they all worked pretty well. And then she slapped the shit out of everyone, which seems par for the course. And
Lady Shani seems to have gotten a lot better too, and seems entertaining. I don't think I knew the other girl, the Ashley or whatever. I'm not really familiar with her.
They seem to do all right. But yeah, it felt they were newer. Meef, what's up with Lady Shani? Did you make a noise at the mention of her name?
No. I like Lady Shani. Lady Shani's awesome.
All right.
The match that had Maximo in it, I didn't really pay much attention to. Was there anything interesting there? Oh, the thing we didn't talk about.
Mascara's thighs. How big has he got? How many fucking like churros is this motherfucker eating?
All of them.
No, but he's like legitimately one of those kind of like pretty boys from CML, wasn't he?
Well, like, he was 7 years ago.
But like he's put on so much, like, oh my god, like people going about like Tyre and have a pop at Tyre. Like this guy. He honestly looked like he was gonna break his like pants.
Yeah, I see. I didn't really pay much attention to that match. You know why? Because of the part I forgot to mention. The part where Cross ran in at the end of the second match.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot to mention that. Like,
I like how they let the match finish though.
Yeah, they got the clean finish, and then it was like, oh, hey guys, you want some extra work? Well, great. You guys are gonna feed for Cross. Because I mean, it was just mass carnage. You want to talk about dudes flying around, and he was power spotting all these guys too. The kind of like spots, like the way he does that Saito slam, he puts the guy down, lifts, then puts the guy down and throws him. So the other guy is not doing any of the work.
Yeah, as soon as he wraps your arm around his head, he's holding you.
It's all deadlift.
Yeah.
I was making a joke on the webs about it, like you just being another leg workout day for Cross. Because I mean, he threw all 4 of those guys. I think he threw one of them twice. Did he get Vikingo twice? One of those guys he fucked up twice, I think. I mean, just massacred them with all giant power spots. Came out in his Mad t-shirt, proceeded to take his shirt and the glasses off, and just hurt people.
I like his mask, his Mad mask.
What's that, Meef?
His Saito slam to Parker Negro was rather brutal.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
He ate that.
And
the Mad Mask. Did you see the original Mad Masks?
The ones from MDA? Yeah.
Yeah. Because the guy who, if I can say these things, made those was Phantasma guy.
Oh. How come he didn't ask Sonny more questions about Phantasma?
He's saving them for Sonny's next appearance.
All right. I think I have someone booked for episode 100, by the way.
Good. We need like 10 more.
What was the storyline with Drago and Aerostar versus Tejano and his buddies? I saw them working out, and then they got locked in the gym over the titles.
Yeah, so it's all about the titles, and they've been fighting for a few weeks or months now. But I think that storyline was like the Tejano and Rey Scorpion like partnership. So they're like top guys, and they're acting like dickheads, basically. Oh. Which isn't hard for Tejano in AAA.
I love Tejano. He's what are you doing with your face?
I love him too. I love him too. I love him too.
Why is your mouth open, dude?
I was because I was being controversial.
No.
But yeah, no, he's a good guy. I like Tejano. But yeah, that's the whole storyline kind of going around now. Given to they've got an entourage.
I still get frustrated with people. The usage of Aerostar and Drago. They're like, this feels to me a little like where Pentagon was stuck in the card for a long time at AAA, where they're just kind of this low mid card thing. They're always wrestling exciting people and they're always having exciting matches, but nothing ever comes of it. And it just kind of stalemates out, and then they just go on to the next one. Like nothing, they don't ever seem to really get the big blow-offs. I don't know. Am I crazy?
No, it's similar to the kind of Argenis got the Rey de Reyes, the sword. Right. What happens with that?
That's it.
Like, I thought that was like a big deal personally. I thought, oh shit, this means you're gonna maybe move up the card or.
Well, it's a big deal when people feel like it's a big deal. I don't know. It's like the Cross thing. You know, Cross did a run-in on the second match, which you wouldn't think is necessarily a big deal, but it is because it feels big. It feels like something is happening. And, you know, Aerostar and Drago, I feel like they come out and they kill it in these matches, but it doesn't feel like anything's happening. So I don't know how you spice up their storylines. I'm also not getting the full commentary because I don't speak Spanish. So I'm listening and I pick up words, and, you know, Hugo is so excited all the time that it's hard to tell one level of excitement from the other, unless all of a sudden something is brutal. But you know, I've just questioned, like, and maybe it's my bias, but I mean, I've liked these guys in AAA for a long time. I mean, Drago was one of the guys that I went to Lucha Underground to see because I liked him in AAA. So, I don't know. It was a good match, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have your main event, which was Psycho Clown. No. Psycho Clown is weird, by the way. I hadn't really seen him wrestle before, to be quite honest. And he was
Psycho Clown was in the match with Phantasma,
tag
Cross,
match,
and Hernandez.
He is real silly. I want to talk about that, but I just want to just as an example, like the match was Dr. Wagner or Ray Wagner versus Pagano. Yeah, right. And that was a fun match. So yeah, so like you see a main event match, and let's just say it's going to be one of those two guys, and you have Drago go against them. If Drago's going to be a main eventer, or do you put Drago in the second match, in that tag match with Hernandez?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that I see, you know, the Drago versus Wagner match yet. Because, yes, you need Drago and Aerostar to rate as the co-headliner first. You need to get them further up the card first. And then they can start bouncing into those higher spots. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem. You know, I mean, they're typically dead middle of the card, and they don't seem to ever rate anything past that. It's always, you know, a bunch of fucking clowns after them, literally.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool to see them go up against Tejano, and that's Ray Scorpion, right?
I did. Yeah, no, I think that this match is a step in the right direction. It's still just missing a little bit of the feeling that it's something important.
Like the match itself should be higher on the card.
Yeah.
That would be good.
It feels more like a demotion for Tejano than a promotion for Drago.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And it should be a promotion for all of them. But it's like you get 4 guys like of this caliber fighting, and you have to make something of it, which they did with, the Hernandez Cross match. Those guys got that spot on this card, and as much as I love Cross, I could have seen very easily this match in that spot and the Cross Hernandez match a match earlier. But also Cross has the big angle right now. The mad angle is great. And the Hoovy running and everything. Well, so let's go back to this. But the Aerostar and Drago go over on Rey Scorpion and Tejano by DQ. It was a good match, though. Did you guys you like the match, or did you think it was lacking?
Well, no,
I liked it.
It's just that the thing is with Aerostar and Drago, they always put on a good match. They're not gonna ever be like making it a terrible match, or like do anything. It's not that great. But sorry, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna add on to the thing where without really thinking much of it, like you'd watch the other high flyers on the show and be very impressed and think, oh, that was really great. And then you see Aerostar and Drago and you're like, oh, these are the guys that also do that. Those guys before were really good. And then Aerostar and Drago will just come out and show why, they are who they are. Like they're still way better than the opening match guys. I think you almost take it for granted that they put on the performances they put on.
I almost thought that they worked out this particular match in the back a little more than normal. I almost felt like some of it was smoother than normal, which is cool. Maybe they need to do that more. Maybe that's how they get up the card. Maybe they stop winging it as much as they do, because those 2 guys wing it all the time. They just get in the ring and start calling shit. Let's see what else.
We had the cross match.
Yeah, so which is amazing.
A bit weird with the Hernandez.
Well, yeah, but I mean the Hernandez swerve came quickly. It's like I get it. It works to me in the fact that I think the mad angle is really that he's just rogue. Like, you can put him with whoever you want. He'll go and wrestle, and then he's just going to go into business for himself. Mad is in business for themselves.
What I liked about it wasn't like a normal kind of just like he's going to turn on the guy, he's not going to tag him in or something like that. He actually just got fed up with his shit. He was like, I can't be arsed with you anymore. And just kind of shoved him about and killed him.
Why were they tagging together? Because Hernandez isn't mad, correct?
No. Hernandez is not mad.
And they were...
This was originally Cross, Tejano, and somebody else versus Phantasma, Pagana, and Psycho Clown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was originally like a 6-way tag. So it kind of they needed to give Cross a partner because Hoovy wasn't wrestling. Because he was actually originally supposed to wrestle earlier, wasn't he?
Why isn't Hoovy wrestling? Too much juice?
Yeah, but Hoovy
he was originally...
Hoovy still came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I mean is he was originally booked in an earlier match on the first card. And then whatever happened.
Well, yeah, and see, I don't know if this was stuff that played out storyline-wise on the show, being that I don't speak Spanish. Or if this was stuff that was just, regular AAA, hey, let's change things at the last minute in the back now that everyone's here.
And now that you got it.
Or now that everyone's not here, let's change everything in the back because so-and-so didn't show up or whatever. Yeah, I mean, there was a few things that were changed, like that the women's match got moved and didn't. Part of that second match was supposed to be different too. Like, wasn't Vikingo supposed to be in a different match originally?
Yeah. I think like Vikingo was actually supposed to be with like Hoovy or something.
Right. It's like, there's a AAA poster that gives you a rough idea of who might show up that day. And then there's the actual show, which is got nothing to do with the poster. Right? Like, they've already changed that Rey Mysterio match that he's doing like 3 times, haven't they? It's supposed to be like a 3-way. Now it's just a straight up mega championship match with Dr. Wagner. Like, so
yeah, there's a
So Ray's coming back for a match. I saw that, but I didn't know what they said on it.
yeah, it's Rey versus Wagner for the mega championship now.
Oh, who's gonna win that one?
I'm gonna assume Wagner, unless Rey has really pulled a coup that we don't know about. Like, it would be amazing if Rey won and all of a sudden he's a AAA champ, but can they keep him long enough?
Is Ray and Jericho are just going promotion to promotion, country to country. Good for them.
Yeah.
They've timed it well with the whole the rest of the world opening up to each other.
But I was actually pleasantly surprised with this match. You know, being that you have Psycho and Hernandez in there and Cross, that's a lot of big dudes that have a lot of big spots, you know, and do a little more of a roughhouse style. But it still felt like Lucha Libre. And that was a surprising part to me. I was expecting it to feel like kind of slow and plodding, especially after all the crazy spot fest matches that we saw earlier. And I think the match before it, kind of the one with Averno and Chessman and whatever, kind of helped cool it a little bit. But that match still had a lot of big spots in it. So I don't know. I was just really impressed. Like, this was the point in time where I'm still watching and I'm like, oh my God, I've gotten through another whole AAA show and I'm not mad. Like, I'm not angry at it. Like, I don't have a bunch of complaints. I've been thoroughly entertained. I'm really curious about the stuff. Like, and that's when I know that it's good. Like, when I'm asking questions and I'm not just going, when is this going to be over?
Yeah.
You know, or I just want to take my notes on it and see if anything interesting happens. Because that was the only reason I was watching. I was like, oh, I just want to see what they do with the Mad angle. That's it. That's the only thing I cared about. And somehow, this is how I know that AAA is back. I watched the whole show and I actually cared about things. Not everything, but a lot of things I actually cared about.
Because, well, this is the Psycho Clown Phantasma feud, which I think is leading to something at Triple Mania or Verana de Scandalo.
I believe Triple Mania is where they're going to try to pay that off.
Aspuesta's match with like 4 people.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows at this point? They couldn't even keep this card booked the way it was supposed to be. So, but that's part of what makes it exciting is everyone thinks they know where they're going, and AAA has made some announcements and kind of played up some feuds, but who the fuck knows? I mean, I feel like Psycho Clown and Phantasma are building something.
Yeah. They had a weird vibe going on during that tag match. You know? Like they were partners, but I didn't think they were friends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That Vader mask.
Vader mask?
He wore a Vader mask. Do you not see that?
Yeah, fantastic. He didn't put any crazy colors on. He was all in all black.
It was a good look. I like it. It was very chocolatey.
Yeah, but everyone looks cool in black. Everyone looks cool and they wear a lot of black. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, so here's the weird part to me. You get the awesome mad ending to the co-main, you know, with Hoovy and then, you know, your mysterious figure. But then they do a run-in on the main event too with Fabi and all this other stuff, and that was the point where I was kind of like, oh, this is some AAA nonsense, right? Like, I didn't even get what's going on, I didn't understand it, and I was just done with the show.
It's like Conan booked the rest of the show, Vampiro booked the ending.
Yeah.
Hey, Conan came out.
Yeah. Basically.
That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal. I mean, he's been saying, he said publicly this week that he is in fact involved with AAA again. and it'll be interesting to see where this union kind of goes. So I don't know. I'm interested in though. So what else is going on?
It's looking better anyway.
What's that?
You can tell something's changed.
Yeah,
you can tell something's changed. So
clearly something has
to get better.
Yeah, and can they keep this going? Can they keep bringing in a hot opening match? Can they keep following it up with other matches? Like, is that making everyone in the back want to step up their game? Because people aren't phoning it in now. I mean, clearly, like Vikingo was not phoning it in. He's in the second match of the night.
Yeah,
and looked like a goddamn superstar. Like, I'm watching and I'm like, why is Vikingo hasn't really popped my interest in months now, and all of a sudden this guy is showing out and he's in the second match.
How many times did he win? What is it, Reyes, where you get the sword?
I don't know. That's a crazy question.
He and all his friends seem to have swords, which is a championship in AAA, right?
The sword. The bloody word begins with an S, Alex.
Sword. Sword. C-word.
It's an old Saturday Night Live joke. Instead of saying I'll take S words, he keeps saying sword. It's fine.
8-tit. I know that thing. I just did another joke from it.
So I kind of watched Impact a little bit. I'm very confused about what's going on with Katarina and Grado. It was very disturbing to me on many levels.
I haven't seen it. I might watch it tomorrow. Is it worth watching? What should I look out for?
Yeah, I mean, there's this Sammy Eddie Edwards street fight match thing that was filmed. Where was it filmed? It was filmed at some other promotion.
House of Hardcore.
Was it House of Hardcore Road? But it was like not even in their home venue. It was like House of Hardcore Road Show to play off their whole angle of you can have the fight, but you can't have it here in Impact. And I like that they did that to tie in their outside thing. And I've said this before, which is why I didn't understand the Jeremiah Crane versus Eddie Edwards thing at Lucha versus Impact. Like, don't blow off this feud or tease it somewhere else. This is a feud that Impact earned, and they should be capitalizing on it inside their own walls. Like, make it a big deal at home on the home court and play it up and get the bump from it. It's a great angle. Like, why are they having some pseudo blow off sent in with bad hokey footage with guys shooting from cameras on the floor, like not even getting good high angle hard camera shots? Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get.
I wanted to talk about that real quick, about how I think it's great that Impact is running that sort of angle in general, where it's like, here's some of our guys wrestling in another big show somewhere else. I think that overall angle is cool, but the production value is not standard everywhere. Like, you get the hard cam, that's not even a wide shot of the ring. It's just, that's like, it's a great idea, but it needs professional execution.
Right. So you got to send cameras, but then that defeats the whole purpose of doing it this way, which is, their budget and their time. They're taping all their shows at once too, and having these outside matches helps so that they can do good quality stuff in house there, and then bring in one or two good things from outside. Like the cage thing they brought in, 2 weeks ago was good.
I got to be honest with you on the camera thing. For a company to be able to say, if you do it one at a time, then you need one package as a backup in case the show itself doesn't have their shit together. House of Hardcore, they're going to put on a professional show. All you need is the hard cam. I think you need a guy at ringside. That's all you need, like minimal. It's better if you have like 2 hard cams so you can zoom in on one and whatever.
Well, which I kind of think they did. I just don't know if it just wasn't pulled off as well as it could have been. And the match itself was still kind of like, I get what you're doing, but it didn't feel like it had the connection to Impact.
There you go. That's an issue too.
Even though they played it into this. storyline, and they wrote it in. It just seemed weird to me, but it was off. It was a little off.
It was kind of meek as well as a match. It's like they've done this brutal, bloody, hitting each other with all different weapons, and it was like, we're gonna have a little knee to the face.
And I think that's the problem with the feud that they've built. Like, how do you blow it off now? Like, how do you really blow this thing off? It's gonna have to be like one of those old ECW death matches with like scaffolding full of tables and some kind of extreme carnage. Like, they're gonna have to go further than Dante and Killshot did at Lucha Underground to have a blow off that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be one end all high spot that just ends this feud. Like, is there any other way out of it, or you let it fizzle and everyone's just mad?
You got to do something, but I think the psychology, like, they're at a point where they really need to utilize strong psychology to make a spot that important.
Right. You know what's interesting about the other thing, I guess, is there's still some random person running around with these X cards laying people out, man. And now people are starting to accuse each other. It's creating a bit of a rift in.
Wait, what? I'm gonna look this
Impact. Up. Somebody is laying people out backstage and putting these little cards with like an X on them, and nobody knows who's doing it. And everyone's starting to accuse each other.
That's the best part.
Is it handwritten? I'm on Impact's. I'm on Impact's.
It's like a black card with a red X, isn't it?
It looks very professionally done. It doesn't look hackish at all.
Although it does remind me slightly of the Aces and Eight thing.
A little bit.
Aces and Eights, it wasn't that bad.
No, that was actually one of their.
It wasn't bad to begin with, but then it became bad.
They locked in the backstage vignettes. They had an interesting sort of thing going on. Bully Ray was just on fire. He somehow did all these amazing acting scenes where he had to be attracted to Brooke Hogan, which, he should win an Emmy for that. It was really good.
You don't think Brooke's cute?
At the same time, oh, God.
What?
You don't think Brooke Hogan's cute?
Yeah.
The short answer is no.
I don't think she's terrible. I mean, she's not my type, but
I mean, I guess knowing that her father blocked me on Twitter and uses the N-word, I guess
Terry blocked you?
He does a lot of horrible things.
Why did Terry block you?
He blocked me years ago.
Why? What did you do to Terry?
It could have been two things. And I think it's really one of them, but I like to bring up the second one as a joke. I had this picture that I found online of him like backstage at a movie set. There's like clothes on a rack, and he's in like red tights, and he's about to put something on, whatever. But he's wearing a big old wig, or he's putting a wig on something, but it's a big old wig. So I made a joke because in the WWE video game that came out, he had a full head of hair, it seemed like. So I tweeted a joke about that and tagged him. He may have blocked me, or he may have blocked me when I tweeted at him and Eric Bischoff, who I don't know if he's blocked me, but I tweeted at them telling them that they ruined TNA and they should not have done that.
Okay, well, I mean, you tagged them and then assassinated their character, so I guess I can't say I'm.
First of all, there's nothing I could have said that's worse than you would just find out by watching TNA when they were in charge.
I was just about to mention AJ Styles knocking up that woman, shall I say? What was her name again?
I don't know, but it's like it's the last TNA pay-per-view that I had watched. You have Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Chris Daniels in the three-way main event. It was insane. It was great, and it was also not a main event you would get at WWE. They have their own product. And they're developing it. They had the Flying Elvises and of course Jeff Jarrett, but they're an alternative. And then Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff show up, and it becomes like a failed attempt to do WWE. And it's some cool things happen, but largely it was like Hulk Hogan walks in and goes, AJ Styles, you're great, but you need a personality. Bleach your hair. You're going to be the new Nature Boy. Put on the robe. Literally, you are the new Nature Boy, AJ Styles.
Hey, maybe Race's fan can figure this out for you because
Sorry, I'm coughing.
Race's fan figured out our previous dilemma, which is that Sammy versus Eddie in a CZW death match is what needs to happen. And I think you're right. I think that's the only answer. Do the CZW death match, actually tie it in with them, do it at the Impact Zone, with the lights and the cameras and the Girl Scouts of America troop sitting in the third row or whatever crazy shit that was with the people with the t-shirts last week that just cools the whole audience. Oh, hate the Impact Zone. Yeah, I think that's the answer. I'm going to agree with Race's fan. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Race's fan.
Hey, is Chavo still blocking me?
Of course he is.
Chavo fucking
Fine.
hates you.
I directly asked Chavo to unblock you, and he said,
Really?
He thought about it.
He doesn't even know who I am.
I think you said something about Pepe.
I love Pepe. I would never say something bad about Pepe.
No, I don't mean, I don't know. I think maybe your love of Pepe was inappropriate.
I like horses.
You know what the most exciting thing in WWE news this week is?
No.
Totally Bellas is coming back this week. It's back on the air. Oh, God.
I can't handle that shit.
Oh, come on. But I mean, John Cena's impassioned plea on the Today Show about how much he's still in love with Nikki. Was it Nick? I don't know. I can't tell.
He calls her Nicole.
I love you,
Nicole.
Nikki.
I love you, Nicole. I still desperately want to be married to you. And every woman in America now is going to watch your show because I'm crying. Man, talk about a fucking work.
What do you think he tells the strippers he's banging?
He tells them to watch Total Bellas too.
He's like, hey, don't watch the Today Show tomorrow.
He tells them to watch that shit.
Really weird.
No. It doesn't at all. Because all the girls are just like, oh, he's so sensitive. He's such a nice guy. I want John.
He seems like the kind of guy who like goes to a seedy place and like has a girl killed in front of him.
Jesus Christ, Steve! You know what I mean? You just got us the TVMA tag on YouTube.
That could work. Maybe
he just seems. Well, you know, he's like with like his whole rules thing. You just think like, you know, he just like he goes somewhere where he pays people to and orders them about.
Okay, first of all, this 41-page like moving prenup thing. Where did you see that? Did you see that on a staged fake reality show that a staged fake entertainment company puts on?
We get it.
No, he just looks like a cunt.
I like Cena, and he does what he does. But it's like when I have to see and read reviews or recaps of him and Nikki and their wedding stuff, I feel like, okay, that's the WWE stuff I watched this week.
So, Are they really doing Ronda versus Nia Jax? What did I miss? How did that happen?
She just came out and said they did a house show in London last Monday. No one cared. It's a dump. So, she just came out. No, I'm just kidding. But they did a London show, so it wasn't taped. Or it was taped. I didn't watch it. What?
London is a shithole.
Okay, London is a shithole.
Around it and burn it. They should let it burn to the ground.
And this is at Money in the Bank. This is the exact opposite of Money in the Bank. That is not money, nor should it be in any bank. This is horrifying. Who the hell is going to protect who in that match? Like, one of them's got to actually go and work.
I'm more concerned about working the angle. Because they're not going to do physical altercations every week leading up to it. They're going to have to get on the stick and do stuff.
mean, I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried about the actual match itself. I mean, there's only one way you can book that match, and that's for Ronda to squash Nia. And that seems ridiculous because they just put a ton of work. Nia's finally getting over a little bit, and I'm actually digging where they got to with her.
Yeah,
maybe Alexa does it.
I mean, you've seen how Ronda was with legit losses with the media and whatnot. I can't imagine that at this point in her career, they're gonna have her go out and job to fucking Nia Jax.
I think it's a huge waste if they do that, especially after seeing her handle Triple H.
Yeah, she's got to be a monster. She's got to be a monster on the level of you think of her like China for a while there, where you think that she could beat the boys too.
Yeah.
And she has really early to be given the title.
Like, she has to be as big of a threat, if not bigger, than Asuka, at least during her initial NXT run.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the reason why they chose to derail Asuka a little bit. You know, it's because Ronda's got to be that person. That's where the money is. I just don't get it. I don't understand what would possibly be the purpose behind booking them against each other right now. It seems like
could be anything.
Maybe unless it's like a DQ and like shenanigans.
Oh God, that's even worse. See, and you know what? You're totally right. I mean, somebody else runs in and they make somebody else a bigger heel for costing the whole match, and then they'll get back to it later.
You think this will kickstart the Natty Hart? You think this will kickstart the Natty Hart feud? They'll throw some bombs at each other. The Natty Hart will do the.
But I mean, this is part of why when I was looking at that roster of who they brought Ronda together with being on Raw, it was just kind of like, oh my God, what do they do?
There's a lot of female talent that they have, and they could be featuring them with Ronda and having Ronda steamroll through them, and it wouldn't hurt anyone.
But hey, look, if you want to put an end to the Nia push, that's a great way to do it. Like if for some reason Nia was going out anyway, or she needs a surgery, or she's going on to something else for a while. Have Ronda squash the crap out of her, get her out of there, because it'll make sense. It'll get Ronda way over. The one part of it that I've heard people complaining about that I actually like is I like them being babyface against each other. Now, don't forget, this could also be the heel turn for Ronda. Maybe her 4 horsewomen come in because they've signed Marina, whatever her name is, and Jessamine Duke, and all 4 of Ronda's 4 horsewomen from MMA are all signed to WWE now. I figured that they'd put the other girls through developmental for a bit longer, but they've all been with Josh Barnett and like learning to wrestle from him for longer than they've, been part of WWE. So maybe they came in with enough skills that they feel like they can put that group together, do a big heel turn with Ronda now. That would actually not be terrible. So maybe there's some merit to it after. What's that?
Do they? They could bring them in to cause the interference and beatdowns and what have you, but they don't necessarily need to be wrestling all the time. So they can be getting trained and
just be a faction.
Just turn up to attack.
And let Ronda and Shayna do the ring work. I mean, Shayna clearly can handle herself in the ring just fine. And maybe that is a reason to get her and Ronda together sooner so that Ronda can just kind of be the heater from the outside and let Shayna do more of the work. I don't know. It's hilarious because I started talking about this thinking that this was the worst idea ever. And now I'm thinking, maybe there's some possibilities. Maybe that WWE actually has a chance to make something here.
I don't know. I think I'm sure they could figure something out, but I don't think what.
It's going to be garbage. It's going to be absolute garbage. You know it.
Yeah. It sucks that they got this this whole angle going, or this whole direction with Nia where she's a role model. And I think there's a bigger picture.
Nia's a role model? I think that's awesome.
No, it sucks that they just got that started. And it might be cutting it short, which it may make sense in booking terms. But
if she loses to a heel turn Ronda, then she could still have that.
Yeah, but let's get more than like a month of mileage out of her being the champ and having kids cheer for her victories, Like, give her those moments.
Out of it if Ronda becomes the mean girl all of a sudden. If it's Ronda and her messing with Nia.
I don't think Nia should win against Ronda. That's the thing. Unless they schmoz it. But also, like, Shayna is not coming up out of NXT anytime soon. Their female roster is depleted, and she's the champ. Like, they they held Nikki Cross off just so Shayna had someone to feud with.
But you got to look at the money. Forget whatever NXT needs. If the Big Show needs Ronda and Ronda needs Shayna, then whatever's going on in NXT is out the window. And they've done that before. I mean, how many people have they snatched up out of there, out of nowhere? I mean, they've completely drained that roster at times.
But they still have a bit of consideration. Like when they pulled Alexa Bliss and everyone up that time and took everyone, Triple H requested that Asuka stays. And he only had Asuka, and she still drew for the division there. I mean, you have Asuka fighting Liv Morgan and tapping her out to an armbar, like a regular armbar. You know, that's not a championship match. They had to rebuild some people around her, but I don't think they'll strip it that bare. Like they still need their champion.
They could, but I mean, aren't they going to do another Mae Young thing? I still think they could. I think they could take Shayna tomorrow, and it doesn't matter.
If Tony Storm, I think they signed Tony Storm.
They have, yeah. Well,
or is she doing
be the Raw Women's Champion? But who knows?
So, I mean, Tony Storm should just go up to the main show and embarrass everyone. But I think
they could leave her down at NXT for a year, let her just dominate down there. It'd be fun.
She's young enough; they could definitely do that. And then I think if they bring her in, then you could set Nikki Cross and Shayna up to the Big Show.
Well, that might be what needs to happen, but we'll see. Yeah. I don't know. I find it interesting. UFC was really awesome this weekend.
Oh, I missed it. There's a lot of blood?
No, I just like Kamaru Usman. He didn't have the best match of his life, and he keeps having these kind of he says he broke his hand early in the fight, but he was fighting Damian Maia, and I was very entertained by it. A lot of people weren't. They thought it was a boring 5-round match, but he was stuffing Maia's takedowns, and anybody who knows Damian Maia, this guy is just like, he's one of those guys that gets you on the ground and just ties you up in weird knots and pretzel-y. And for Kamaru Usman to be able to completely negate all of Damian Maia's ability to do that, I thought was impressive, and I like Kamaru Usman. And then Alexa Grasso got just smattered by that girl who won the Ultimate Fighter, and I was not expecting that at all. I mean, a lot of people had it picked that way, but I didn't. But it was very entertaining, and it was like one of these weird cards with a lot of people you don't really know. They're kind of up-and-comers, but a lot of times those are more exciting, and it was kind of one of those where you had some knockouts, you had some submissions, you had some absolute wars, and I kind of like those cards. And I'm looking forward to there's some big UFCs coming up soon too. Finally, they had kind of big fight last week, and then oh my God, I went to another taping of The Contender. God, I wish I could tell you some spoilers from that fucking show. Eric Van Wagenen would kill me, but man, we went. I took One Lung Charlie.
How's he doing?
Some of his people. He's a little less flat tired these days. But we went to The Contender, and there were 2 fights. We stayed for 2 tapings, and they were both fucking phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I think this is later in the season to the semifinals or whatever. Like, oh my God. And it was like a who's who of who's famous in boxing who was there. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm going to have to buy Epics. Even the guys I was with, everyone's like, when's the finale? How do we see it? And blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, congratulations to EV Dub, because the show hasn't even aired, and I can tell you right now he's got a freaking hit on his hands. Like, for boxing fans, anybody who's a boxing fan who doesn't have Epics is going to get Epics. Mm-hmm. And I think the whole boxing world and community knows it, because they're all like, all the big names, the famous guys in boxing are showing up there because they know that some of these young guys are the future of the sport, and this presentation of it, this style of doing this show, is the future of the sport. I think it could help resurrect boxing, even more so than the original version of The Contender, because the original version of The Contender was around when boxing was still kind of up there, but MMA was kind of knocking it down a little bit. But I think now people are seeing like the Lomachenko fights and the the Triple G fights, and people are coming back to the sport and being more interested. But those guys are further down the line, and if you want to see where the sport is going to come up from at its roots, it's going to be the show. And I am more impressed than I thought I would be. I thought I'd be interested being a boxing fan, like, oh yeah, I like this. But I think a larger group and community is going to like it if they can get over the hump of it being on Epic's thing, which may actually be brilliant for them to get their subscribership up. We'll see. Or people will just pirate it and still watch it and love it, but then they won't get any financial benefit from it. It's always possible. All right, you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Josh Warren beat Lee Selby at my football team's stadium.
Anthony Joshua?
No. Josh Warrington.
Oh, Warrington.
So he's like a fighter from like my neck of the woods, and he's like supports my football team, and he basically got to actually box at the stadium, which is pretty mental. Like 20,000 people.
Yeah, that's huge.
Drunk people who are absolutely insane anyway. And Lee Selby was this guy who's been not saying how he's going to school him and all that shit for years, and he got absolutely torn apart. He was a bloody mess. One of the referees gave it as a Selby victory, but everybody else had him up by about Warrington up by about 3-4 rounds.
Wow!
But like the referee's shirt was dripping in blood.
Oh, this sounds amazing!
Got cut on both his eyes.
I need to watch this. This sounds great.
Where can we find this?
Basically, like, it's boxing with English football fans in attendance. So
that sounds like a hot mess. Well, the UFC is going to be like that next week too. UFC's in Liverpool, and Darren Till, who's a Brit, I think he's actually from Liverpool, is headlining against Wonderboy Thompson. So that's going to be a huge fight for the UFC next week. The real big one, though, is UFC 225, which is June 9th. And that's Whitaker versus Romero. Dos Anjos versus Colby Covington, who talks all sorts of shit about Brazilians, and he's facing a Brazilian. Megan Anderson versus Holly Holm is on that one also. And wait for it. Michael Jackson, not that Michael Jackson, but Michael Jackson, the
actor.
No, he's a fighter and podcast guy from Texas that hasn't had very many ultimate fights of any kind, is facing Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk.
Ooh.
CM Punk is back, y'all. He's going to be facing Michael Jackson, who is probably skill level wise a little closer, but I almost still give it to Mike. Mike has been a professional kickboxer for a while, and we'll see. But I think Mike, as an MMA fighter, is like 1-1 or something, and now CM Punk is 0-1. So it's funny because he's still on the main card because he's such a huge draw, and the fight is in Chicago. So CM Punk will be fighting at home. Last time he fought in my hometown, Cleveland. But that should be pretty exciting. And then also Alistair Overeem versus Ruben Blades is on that card. Claudia Gadelha versus Carla Esparza is on there. Crazy, huge, awesome card. Rashad Evans is also fighting, coming out of retirement, basically. Bermudez is fighting Little Pettis. Should be interesting. Anyway, so Phil Brooks is going to give it one more go. It'll be very interesting to see. And that's on the Whitaker-Romero card on June 9th in Chicago.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff on June 9th.
What else is going on June 9th?
Dominion. That's
it's my
Okada.
Birthday.
Oh.
Okada. It's whose birthday?
My partner Paula. It's her birthday.
That's the black
birthday.
mannequin that's behind your shoulder there?
Byron's favorite thing.
I was wondering if Sonny thought that was in homage to him.
I can't believe that you had that.
That has a lot less booty, though.
Yeah. There's a reason I've not turned it round, Byron.
No, but why don't you have other rooms to put it in? Can you put it in other rooms? Off camera?
This is true. It's a good point. I thought it was a good little back piece. Justin's got his curtains.
You can't put it behind the computer. Light on the ground, at least during the video portion.
Paulie Cross thinks that the Michael could actually beat CM Punk. That's hilarious.
Literally now, we could still beat him.
I would love to see the real Michael Jackson hit CM Punk in the face and then just stand over him and just say, "Mama Mafusa!" Just like yelling at him. Weird Michael Jackson influence. Chamo!
Moonwalking over him.
Sorry, somebody needs to do this car. I hope like Tommy Toehold or somebody does that animation of that real Michael Jackson beating up CM Punk. That needs to be a t-shirt.
The current day Michael Jackson.
Yeah. The corpse.
Yeah.
Great.
I just wanted to bring up that New Japan has that huge show, Dominion on the 9th, as Okada and Omega in a best of 3, 2 out of 3 fall. No time limit match. Speaking of long matches, that's going to be something to watch. And then they're doing they're doing Naito and Jericho in a blood feud. That's going to be amazing. I'm super stoked to watch those. I'll probably stay up late, watch it live. They're doing their Super Junior, whatever, the lightweight tournament now. And that's awesome. Got to see. So
you say it's June 9th, but so does that mean like early in the morning on June 9th, or that I have to stay up all night on June 9th? I don't know where Japan falls in the international date line.
They're ahead of us. So I think like if June 9th is a Saturday, it might be Saturday morning. But I'm guessing. I think someone else should figure that out.
No, I think it starts at like 8 a.m. here.
On June 9th.
Usually.
Yeah, so like we watch it at 3 or 4.
Oh, no, it starts at 8 a.m. there in England. So it's like 1 in the morning here.
Oh, yeah, and it's a lot easier, for you than me, because it's like late night, and for me, I have to wake up.
Well, on the West Coast, it's even worse. All I know is whenever the New Japan events start here is a time when I'm absolutely not going to be awake watching wrestling.
But yeah, it's all in the middle of the night. But it's kind of fun to watch it live in that sort of days.
We're season pros in the UK of this.
Yeah, I'm watching shit at fucked up times. Well, hey, next weekend you get the UFC live there, and we have to watch it at I think it starts at the main card starts at 10 a.m. Los Angeles time. The prelims start at like 7 a.m. or something. So I'll be up bright and early Sunday morning watching fighting.
Speaking of fighting, Daniel Bryan, I just recently saw him talk about how he wanted the heel hook to be his original finish, not the yes lock. And he recently threw it on Cass again on some show. I'm not watching them. I just saw a highlight. Wonder what you would thought of that, or if you had seen his heel hook and what you thought of a professional wrestler's heel hook, or it being used as a finish.
It's good. The problem is, I just don't know that some of those MMA moves are dramatic enough to look like something. But if you program the audience long enough, I think that any move can get over,
Yeah.
But it's also the difference between a cross arm breaker and a real arm lock from MMA. It doesn't look. If you do a real one, it doesn't look the same. The fact that you're actually twisting an elbow to the safer place for wrestling gives you the ability to move the arm more and make it more dramatic. And there's a reason why, if you watch, Ken Shamrock do a real ankle lock compared to the way that Kurt Angle does it, Kurt Angle's looks better for wrestling by a long stretch, because when Shamrock was doing the real ones, he's got it in really tight and he's twisting and trying to break your freaking ankle by holding it a certain way, and you're not going to get that same thing you're not going to get that same thing out of a wrestling move. Like when Kurt Angle's doing it, he's putting the crux of the joint in a certain spot so that he can move it around and twist you more safely without hurting you, and it looks way better. So, you know, Daniel, and I've heard a lot of wrestlers say this, like they want to do the moves that are realistic and feel realistic, but it's like you're in an arena with 14,000 people. How does it look to that guy up at the top of the third balcony? You know, you can want to do real MMA moves all day long. And people complain about this when they go to live MMA all the time, is that when you're sitting up there in the second bleachers, you're watching the screen when they go to the ground sometimes, because it doesn't look like much, you know, with a giant cage there from, you know, 200 feet away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like Minoru Suzuki is one of the most vicious wrestlers out there. And I think he does a heel hook. And he makes it look awesome, but it's also, that's a much different conditioned arena and audience. And it would be boring if he sat on and just held someone's leg for so long in WWE. I think Daniel Bryan, and the 2 times I've seen him do it, he makes it look good, but you need a quick tap out. Like once he's in there, then that's it. Like he doesn't do the theatrics that Suzuki does, where he'll take the foot and start rolling it and bending your ankle around to where it looks nasty.
Right.
But I think the from a wrestling standpoint, the yes lock, the label lock, whatever, is much better, because just it doesn't look as good as pain. It doesn't look as painful as a hold, but you have both guys' faces facing the same direction. You get a much better presentation on camera of the struggle for one person trying to fight out and one person trying to get the other guy to submit. It's all in one shot, as opposed to like ankle lock, one guy's holding and the other guy, you know.
Right.
Maybe he could get some lessons from John Cena about how to put an STF in.
John Cena does an STF. I think he doesn't tighten it up, because he used to do it the original way. Like he choked like Edge or someone out.
Yeah, when you're as big as Cena is, if you actually put that move in for real with the amount of muscle mass he has, that could actually be bad.
Yeah.
But choking out Edge is not a bad thing.
Well, Paul's asking about the armbar, Ronda's armbar finish. Now, what Ronda has done, Ronda is actually, her version is actually in between a cross arm breaker and an armbar right now. She's doing the appropriate MMA setup on the legs, but she's also not cinching in the leg crossing, and she's not actually turning the arm against the joint. She's not fully turning the arm against the joint. So she's leaving it kind of in cross arm breaker position, but the whole setup and presentation of what she's doing is the actual arm bar.
Her move looks great between her long hair.
But she can still yank on it without hurting anybody. If she actually stepped over the neck the right way and twisted her body into the elbow and did that, even pretending, she would really hurt somebody. I mean, similar to what Sexy Star did. If you're ever wondering about the Sexy Star footage, if you go and watch it, Sexy Star actually does that and turns her arm in. So when she's yanking on it, it's no longer for show, for a move. She's actually hyperextending the elbow, which can break your arm or your shoulder. And that is the difference between a real MMA armbar and a cross arm breaker, which is the pro wrestling version of the move.
Yeah, but I was saying that Ronda's her armbar looks really good in that she hides that, where she'll get the arm tucked under her arm, like with her body, and when she's standing still and has it wrapped a certain way, and then she's able to do the fall back quick slam as if like that's impact that's going to yank the arm out. But
right, and the trick for that is actually having her pelvis be closer to the body and not further away. And so you'll see that her knees are more bent because she's actually scooched in more. And when you see those real arm bars, the person applying the arm bar is almost flattening out their whole body and straightening out, because what you're trying to do is put all of that pull across the other person's muscles. So what she's doing now, she's still doing the fall back, but that fall back, when you do it in real MMA, is for the purpose of pulling and straightening out and locking around the shoulder and getting that elbow to that position where it's going to hyperextend. But it's great. It's perfect the way she's doing it. We've seen her do the real ones too. So our brains are programmed that when she does it that fast, but you're not seeing her straighten out her back and her legs like she was in some of those other things. Hey, whoever is Acer 500, thanks for subscribing to the channel. And you too can subscribe if you just go down there, just scroll down, hit that little subscribe button, and hit the bell for notifications.
Wait, what just happened?
We just got a new subscriber. That's all. Acer 5000.
We went into commercial in like mid-sentence.
Yeah, I do that sometimes because I forget to plug stuff all show. I was probably supposed to plug Lucha Central. I was probably supposed to plug some t-shirts. I was probably supposed to plug Mav Pro. But we had Sonny
go check out our best of the latest best of video on Lucha Central with none other than Famous B.
Famous B, yeah. If you hit
it's a really good video.
It is. If you hit the show more button on our description down below, you can see that there's a link for Sonny's Twitter. There's links for all of the host Twitters. There's links to where you can get our t-shirts. No Patreon yet. We're going to set up Patreon soon for people who really want to help keep us in business. Right now, we're counting on t-shirt sales. We did pretty good last month. We had this shirt, the couple different versions of the Jimsuke Nakamura, which is actually tied dead even with the.
Did we get a cease and desist for that one?
Seems like
wow, we start shilling WWE knockoff shirts and the feed goes down. Wow. Meave, do you think there's a connection?
I don't think Justin's got a connection at the minute.
Yeah. Do you think there's a connection? You think there's a investigative journalism between us? Justin shills a WWE knockoff shirt, and then he gets shut down. I think the evidence clearly points to a specific answer. Is your feed frozen?
No. They call it acting.
But you agree with me, right?
Oh yeah, Jesus. But saying that, have you seen the state of their shirts? Oh
no, I don't like
keep
that.
On like they just got like a shitty little Ember Moon's got a new one, which is like they do use a bit of a moon logo on the front, and then on the back they put big writing across the shoulders, like the moon's rising or some shit like that. Like CN Almas, they did one shirt where it looks like he's on a fake like dollar bill, and on the back it just says he's 100.
It's awful.
Yeah, I mean it's like Lucha Underground Pentagon Junior shirt level of terrible.
That one is bad too. What other things do we need to shill? Justin, our MMMshow Teespring link doesn't work on YouTube.
Oh, it doesn't? I'll have to fix that.
So Lucha Central is still relatively new, but they have a ton of new and awesome stuff coming up every day. There was just this amazing Pentagon. Which one was it? Caristigo match at the Crash.
Oh,
they both lost half their mask. It was pretty nuts. They have stuff about that, and you should really check them out and check out our best of videos because you get to see some.
I mean, even as new as the site is, it's been what, a month and a half or so.
Yeah,
it's packed. Like I'm already, there's already so much stuff. Like I was trying to go back and read some CMLL results because I never get a chance to watch CMLL. It's the one show that's one too many for me at this point. But I was just kind of going and reading some of the results and like trying to look for something from a few weeks ago. I was like, holy shit, there's so much stuff on here. You know, you got that awesome little pilot thing with Ruben and Conan on there, and you've got all the stuff that Cult Icon's been doing, our stuff. You know, Klein Rock's got a bunch of stuff up there, a lot of cool stuff. Like, and if you want to know what's going on in the world of Lucha Libre, whether it's Lucha Underground, AAA, CMLL, The Crash, they're all up there, everything.
And so, a guy called Al Lone from the UK, he writes for them as well. He writes about the I can't remember. Oh, I can't remember the name of promotion now.
You have a Lucha Libre promotion in England?
Yeah, it's interesting. it's kind of like a cabaret show.
Oh, those can be fun. I mean, we have Lucha Vavoom out here that is very popular, which is kind of
big
a cabaret Lucha Libre hybrid
vaudeville.
RCW in Spain. That's pretty big. They have a lot of luchadors, and like I know Angelico wrestles out there. Chris Wolf.
Chris Wolf,
your favorite.
Let's get Chris Wolf on the show.
Anytime, man. Just
yes.
Get Chris on whenever you guys want.
Meef, you took a picture with her. Are you friends with
guys,
her?
I'm supposed to tell you that Casey promises that he'll be here next week. He is finally coming to a close on some of his time obligations. And
does he know?
We'll get more Casey.
Does he know who we might be talking with next week?
I don't know if he knows.
Should we not tell him?
I don't know if he's been paying attention.
I don't think we should tell him. I think it should just happen.
Yeah.
He won't come on if Sexy Star's here. So.
Well, she's not going to call herself Sexy Star on the show. She's going to go by Dulce or whatever.
What's her undefeated boxing fighting name?
Duckface.
Sexy Duckface?
No, Duckface.
Duckface.
Sexy Duckface? I don't know. I'm starting to not hate her as much as I used to. I'm starting to like her again. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, I'm hoping that she comes back to Lucha Underground this year, if nothing else, but for us to see her die a miserable death. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe she'll come back and do that big heel turn. You'll all just have to watch and find out. All right, I'm done with this thing. Are you done with this thing, Byron?
Do you think Daniel Bryan is going to not re-sign in like September or November and then sign with the Bullet Club?
Negative. Daniel Bryan will stay with WWE for the rest of his career.
I think so.
I don't really see that he's. I know why people say that and think that. I know that they have this desire to see him go out and be this great indie performer, but with his previous medical issues, he's way safer where he is. They take great care of him. They stood by him in a tough time. His wife is with the company also and under contract. You know, I think that the travel schedule is probably more than he wants right now, but he's got a job. And he's got the best job that you can have in the business, and they're taking care of him. He's not at the bottom of the totem pole. He's not getting treated like dirt there.
They pay his hospital bills, right?
Yeah,
and get him the best doctors.
And I know people think that when they see people like Jericho jumping ship and doing some things for a while, popping in and out, that they think Daniel Bryan should be on that list. He's not the same as Chris Jericho, and it's not the same for him. And that world out there for him outside of WWE is not as safe. And he would have to work like an indie performer, and he wouldn't be at the top of the card. Daniel Bryan in Japan is not at the top of the card, guys. In WWE, he's at the top of the card. So why would he go anywhere else? Could you even see, maybe at TNA, he's the top of the card at Impact. Why would you go there over WWE? You wouldn't. I just don't see Daniel Bryan ever needing to go somewhere else. I think he's found his job. Yeah, I think he's found his last stop. And I don't think he's going to be one of these guys like a Kurt Angle or somebody that leaves the company and has to go somewhere else and make a name for himself or wants to be bigger than he is. It's just there's no reason for him to leave ever. Anyway, that's all I got. You got anything else, guys?
Nope.
No.
Thanks to Sonny Kiss, a.k.a. XOLishus, for being on the show. Thanks to Eric Van Wagenen for having me and my crew out to the Contender yesterday. It was really awesome fights. Thanks to Meeflo for joining us at some weird, ungodly hour from across the pond and for being kind enough British citizen to have a mulatto as a princess. We really do appreciate that on this side of the pond. It's really big of you. And to Byron, go hockey, eh? Until next time, stay calm and stay in the mix.